Going on, family? Glad you could join me again on today. Wanted to jump on here and talk about a movie on Netflix which is leaving. I want to say it may be leaving today or sometime this week, but the name of that movie is called American Gangster. This movie brought and shed a lot of light on the society that once was back in Harlem. The main character in this movie was Denzel Washington, also known as Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas was from my state, North Carolina, and he went up north and started to work for a man by the name of Bumpy Johnson. Now, you can find Bumpy Johnson in the series Godfather of Harlem, and I believe they're coming out with season 4, if I'm not mistaken, sometime in the very near future. However, Frank Lucas, which is played by Denzel Washington, he worked for Bumpy for a long time. Bumpy was that father figure for him. He learned the trade, he learned the skill, he learned so much in terms of business from Bumpy that when Bumpy passed, he was even able to learn from the mistakes that Bumpy had made within the business realm of their organization, to the point where when Bumpy died, Frank was all too ready to pick up the pieces. And I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I do not agree with what they were doing in terms of the drug cartels and selling drugs and things of that nature, but there are some characteristics and there are some qualities that I think we do need to discuss and that I feel is missing in today's society. When you think of Frank Lucas, especially based off of what the movies say. Now, I do know people within my family personally that knew Frank Lucas because, like I said, he was from North Carolina. But when you look at this movie, American Gangster, which is based off of a true story, you see a black man living in a society where black men were not supposed to be on top. The way that Bumpy Johnson was, the respect that was mandated by him because he had to move strategically 10 times smarter than his competition. And we also have to recognize the racial climate during this time that these events took place. So with Frank Lucas, he was a family man. He learned, he took his time, years and years and years underneath Bumpy to learn the trade, to be his security guard, to make sure that the deals were what they were supposed to be, make sure that these streets had Bumpy's money. He was that man for Bumpy. And so one of the characteristics that I do and I did love about Frank Lucas, and there's a lot of speculations, there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, he was this, he was that, or whatever, but there are some characteristics that made Frank stand out. And it's nothing more sexy, in my opinion, when it comes down to a man than his mind. Being able to strategically think outside of the box. As soon as he made the right types of moves after Bumpy had passed away, he brought his entire family to New York and made sure that his entire family was taken care of. Not only that, but he had a foundation. He had a spiritual foundation. Even though he was out here doing his thing, doing, things that was against his principles and what he was brought up in believing, and I'm talking about his faith in the Most High, he still made it a point to go to church. He still made it a point to pray. And this is very important and something that we as foundational Black Americans or freedmen, whichever one you want to use, they both mean the same thing, just for clarity. That's one thing that we lack. We want to believe in the universe. We want to believe in African gods. We want to believe in Greek gods. We want to believe in Hindu, East Asian, and East Indian gods. We believe in every god but the God that it's meant for us. And I know that a lot of things have been misconstrued over the years, especially when we first got over here. But I implore you all to go out and really listen to the history of the Bible. Listen to and study, not just reading it with your own understanding, but use certain groups that are out here now that can at least give you a thorough understanding of why the Bible is our history book. And so with that being said, Frank had a belief system, and he stood on that belief system. Although he was out here doing things that was against his belief system, he still acknowledged, and that's a scripture, I can't remember exactly where it is, but it says, in all thy ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. And it's funny because not only did the belief system carry Frank Lucas through, but also when you think about Big Meech and BMF, when you think about them and their household, they also had that belief system. And if you notice, both of these individuals, both Big Meech and Frank Lucas, they are alive. They beat the odds. They still have their life. And it was funny because in the movie American Gangster, when the planes were coming back and they had a search warrant to search all the planes, and when I forgot the officer's name, but anyway, the guy who actually arrested Frank Lucas, when he got interrupted from checking the planes, one of the, I guess, top military guys called him into the office, and he was like, well, which mafia group is it? Is it this mafia group? Is it that mafia group? And the officer or the detective said, no, this is a black man. And the sergeant was like, dude, ain't no way that a black man has completely cut out the middleman and is running a smooth organization like that. Very similar to Big Meech and BMF. You know, these people couldn't believe that through all the adversity that was pushed on our people, that there were men who rose above that and was beating them at their own game. And again, I don't condone the type of business that they were in. I'm not condoning that at all, but I'm specifically looking at their mindset and the way that they moved. I like the way you move. I like the way you... Yeah, they moved. They moved with such grace. Now, the only thing I can really say the difference between BMF and Frank Lucas is Meech was that flashy type person where his brother Terry wasn't. He was kind of low key and didn't really want to look good for the police, but Meech wanted to take it out there. And then if you look at American Gangster, Denzel or Frank Lucas, he was more of a conservative business type dress person. He wasn't flashy. As a matter of fact, in the movie, one of his brothers, after he had made some change, one of his brothers came in the club and he had on a fur hat and he was just dicked out from the head to the toe. And Frank said, what the world you got on, man? Sis, what you trying to look good for the police? You know, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, he was like, nah, we don't dress like that. We're going to dress like businessmen. We're going to dress so we won't cause attention. And so that's what he did. One of the other characteristics that I really loved about Frank Lucas was his loyalty to Bumpy. Bumpy trusted him with everything. That loyalty goes a long way, and that's something that I feel like a lot of us, not everybody, but I feel like a lot of us have turned our back on, even on each other. And now I see a shift. Now that we're starting to understand that we are all we have, I'm starting to see a shift in the way that we treat each other. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but I just wanted to say that this movie is leaving Netflix soon. If you have time, you know, go ahead and check it out if you don't have it on any other platforms. And one more thing that I would like to bring out about Frank Lucas was that he knew how to remain calm. You never knew the angle or the direction that he was coming in. He would say, my man, and then blow somebody's brains out. You know, you never knew how he was coming. And because he loved his wife, he thought about it when she first gave him that coat. And he was like, man, I don't dress like this. I don't do this. I don't look good for the police and attract attention. I don't do this. But so he wouldn't hurt her feelings. He decided to wear the coat. And because of where he was sitting and the publicity that he was getting and the attention he was getting at that fight, that's what started the investigation. Other than that, they wouldn't have had a clue. So these are just things that I wanted to mention to you on today, because I saw similarities in all of these men, even when it came down to Bumpy Johnson, when it came down to Frank Lucas and Big Meech. All of them had something in common. They had a mind like no other. And so that's just what I want to leave you with, like understanding how to maneuver, how to play chess instead of checkers, understanding who your adversary is, and strategically planning out how you execute whatever it is that you're doing. I think that is very admirable, in my opinion. Not what they were doing, not the business that they were in, but if they all used that same strategy in a different type of business model, the world would be theirs. And it was for a moment. But anyway, let me know what you think. Have you seen the movie? Can you remember the movie if you have seen it? And what did you take away from the movie? Leave your comments in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. May the Most High bless.